Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's morning call. That's what kind of day it's been. It's not the morning call, it's the recap. Anyway, Thursday, ton of action. You know, I know yesterday, unfortunately, I came in the morning. I had 4 or 5 longs, expecting for some continuation yesterday. We had a pretty potent down day, so I went home flat, like a lot of the other guys on the virtual trading floor, thinking maybe it can continue. Today we gapped up, so you pretty much had about 30 minutes to switch gears. 30 minutes to say, you know what? It was a one-day wonder. I know this rally's come a long way from those double bottom lows, but things aren't pulling in. Stocks are acting strong. Let me switch some gears, try and get involved, and not just try and short every level like a lot of guys on Twitter have been talking about. I think there have been like 5 guys fighting this rally the whole way up, and you have guys like that that just have a one-track mind. You got to stop following them, because you're never going to participate in a particular trend. So I have to only about 7-8 minutes for the recap because I'm doing my Redler All Access webinar, so I'll just get into it quick. So here's a chart. Okay, here's a chart of the, of the spiders. Or actually, this is the SPX. You know, if you look at the chart from yesterday, I came in flat thinking, oh my goodness, we have an ascending channel. We closed on the 8th day, one down day. Chances are we might get some downside follow through. And I did a micro chart and posted on Twitter saying, you know what, let's see if we could re-short or how the market acts here at 2000 or 205.55, whatever that was, or 2027, and then pow. That's a big, big, strong day. Caught a lot of shorts off guard and caught a lot of stubborn traders who've been trying to short this rally, whether they thought it had to end or too far, too fast. That's what a pain trade is. But anyway, you had your double bottom. Here's when your strength came in across this pivot. Here you cleared this resistance right there, came up. This was the last time you had a day that looked as if you should take some risk off. You had another day and then it got engulfed. And then this was your sideways day and down, and then boom. Okay, right back into almost where we broke out from. Remember, or broke down from. Remember this? Well, here we are. Not saying you jump in all in now, but you've had a really nice trend. And what's been interesting too is, talk about it real quickly. What's Red Dog's rules? If you've been following me for years, when things are above the 8 and 21 day, you try and have portfolio approach. You try and be long. You try and look for stocks on the move. You don't just have short on the brain. When things are below the 8 and 21 day, little tactical, both longs and shorts, H-cell setup, Red Dog reversals, etc., etc. Well, if you go back to the SPX, you'll see that this has been above the 8-day moving average since about 1960. Okay, right around here. On this day, it reclaimed it, came up and let it catch up, and it's been above it ever since. Yes, twice it looked as if it could have broke down. So on these 2 days, if you brought your risk down, okay, but then once it cleared levels, you have to be that quick. Once it cleared above this high here, you had to get back involved, and then you had 2 up days. And then kind of like right here, once it cleared this pivot, that was one spot. Or if you go to the spiders, when it reclaimed, this little 3-day spot right here, okay, that was one spot to be quick. And then obviously when it took out 203.87, that was another. Okay, now we'll see what happens tomorrow. A lot of good after hours trading going on right now. If you read my note every day, I talk about the go-to names. Recently, Netflix fell off the list because it had bad earnings or disappointing, and it went out of play. But it was kind of out of play before then. The 3 names that have been the ones that are, constructive and above all the moving averages, near 52-week highs, all delivered. Okay, you have Google. We talked about 700 to 713 is your pivot after hours. Amazon 580, and and Facebook, which wasn't reporting, had that pivot at 95. So Google, the reason why the pivot was right here is because this was old school resistance going across. So if you get above this and clear it and hold above it, then basically, there's nothing to the left. So when they announced that they beat on everything, you had to quickly get involved. It took it out. Okay, now I think it's trading above 720. So about a $70 or $80 move. Congratulations if you caught it. Sperling, I know, is trading it. And also Amazon. You actually had a few chances on Amazon. Amazon, the pivot that we talked about or tweeted about was right here. This was 580. There was a $50 measured move according to the option guys. So you had about 5 to 10 seconds to grab it through 580. Went as high as 625. Okay, and then pulled back to about 605, and that's when some guys on the VTF started to get back involved, and then it went another 25 bucks. And look, what a quinky dink. It's been above the 8-day moving average this entire time, above all the moving averages. Okay, same thing for Google, above all the moving averages, right? You know, so anyway, very well set up, and now it's at highs, and you know, that's something healthy for the overall market. Even Microsoft, we've been talking about the macro chart and how somebody went out and bought a gazillion 49s and 50s. I wonder what they knew, but overall, you know, Microsoft has been very strong. Oh, look at when it reclaimed all its moving averages. It's been above the 8-day moving average this entire time, whereas you want to be long it, and even if it pulled back, you had the 21-day right underneath it, and now it's up a few bucks. Facebook, this is something I felt comfortable owning stock-wise and option-wise, thinking that if Google's good and they show great video, et cetera, it's going to go up. So I took options, not going to wait. And then I also had the stock just in case. I wanted to have, you know, a few different stocks overnight, and this is one of them, especially since it closed through the highs. So, you know, we'll see where it is tomorrow. I sold a little bit above 101, and I'm still in, obviously, you don't trade options after hours, and I'm still in some stock. This has been a really big winner. Oh, what a quinky dink. It's been above the 8 and 21 days since 91. So that's about 10 bucks to where it is right there. Apple, not as powerful, but, you know, you've had a lot of different chances with this Apple. Okay, Apple, you know, I listed the chart here at 102. It was real tight. Some guys made good money on this 2-day move, went back to it today. And overall, if you just got in here and said, I'm going to give it some space because you said your target is here, well, we'll see if it's there tomorrow. Lots of times they try and pin it, so they might try and get it back to 15, but if they can't, all of a sudden you're at 116, 117, and then, you know, I've seen crazier things. Maybe by Tuesday or something, you know, you got 120, which would be another round number, and earnings are next Tuesday. Some of the oil names, you know, not really in vogue, but not so bad, right? Here was your igniting move in the XLE, and then it peaked, and now it's been going sideways, holding above 67. If the market wants to broaden out, perhaps takes this out, and then you get that move back to old support, which turns into resistance closer to 72. As far as the banks, they're not acting great, but you know what? If you feel like you could hold a few things, they're slow. This JP Morgan pretty much is taking out the slower range and getting the 200-day back. So if you're in it, you know, you could trade it versus support here, and at some point this rally continues, it probably fills this gap, and you could hold it up to there. Citigroup did report actually the better earnings, you know, for this quarter. Obviously, it's not best in breed, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, etc. But this too holds this spot. It could see some higher prices, fill this gap, and there's room to go as far as that is concerned. Some guys have been trading gold. Not really participating, but not falling apart. At this point, you know, it peaked around 113 and change. It's pulled back, trying to hang in there. Could have fallen apart. You had a very strong dollar today. Strong dollar is not good for commodities, and it didn't. So if you're still in this, or you sold strength and you're trying to buy a pullback, hopefully it holds around here, and maybe, you know, it's still deemed strong if it could hold the 21-day, which isn't too far underneath it. And as far as other things going on, you know, there's action everywhere. This VRX was out of control. Thank God for the news guy. The news guy, I think it was trading at 98, and he's like, they're going to host a conference call Monday morning, et cetera, et cetera. You know, with the board, with this, with that. We were buying 98s, we were buying 102s, and PS, it closed, went to 115, closed 110. The buyers have been everywhere. There's been news all over them. So you have to be prepared on what's strong, what's weak, and trade quickly and accordingly and somewhat safely. You know, the VRX, you know, you look at the chart, still broken, battered, and bruised, but you go to the 5-minute chart to see the type of move it had when it, you know, cleared a level. That was right here. Okay, I think the news came out, and then you had this nice level that it got above, that it couldn't get above earlier in the day, 105 to 110. And here is when I think we were all trying to buy it right around that 100 after the news came out, closer to 2 o'clock. So at this point, you know, it filled some of this gap. You know, I think maybe tomorrow it opens up. It's definitely very dangerous, but there's been a lot of movement. Okay, and I actually have to call it quits here because I have my webinar. Hopefully, if you're watching this and you feel like you want more, just buy the Redler All Access Note. I write it every day. I started at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's done by 7:20. It goes to editing. It's got about all the has all the indices out there, all the different levels. It has about 20 different stocks with what I'm thinking about, how to maneuver them. You can see exactly what I'm long on the disclosures. Yeah, I actually have a private Twitter feed where you could ask me questions, and then there's also a long form morning call video that goes along. So, I know a lot of guys are lost out there, and the note is my daily game plan. I write it and I talk about it so I know it so I can execute on it. And I might not execute on all of it because I have a lot of things going on throughout the course of the day. Tonight I have CNBC Asia at 6 o'clock. Monday I have Bloomberg at 12. So many things, but I make the majority of my cash flow through trading, so I need to be prepared. And the way I get prepared is by writing the note, doing the video, and that could help you get prepared if you find yourself lost. So use your resources. Tomorrow I'm in Short Hills. I won't be trading, and I will be trading, but there'll be no morning call as usual. It's Monday through Thursday. I wish you all the best. It's Thursday night. Congratulations, Mets. Go Jets. And I'll see you when I see you. Have a good one.